Welcome back into the Rowdy Studio. I'm Buzz Cutler, sitting alongside Bassmasters. We're still talking Martinsville, and let's talk about Matt Kenseth and Brad Keselowski, because Matt Kenseth, at many points during that race, looked like he was going to maybe take the points lead from Carl Edwards. Brad Keselowski was nowhere for the first two-thirds of that race, and then all of a sudden somehow emerged with a top 10 car. Until
may have been a top 5 car. I mean, he was in the mix.
Until a spin on the last restart. Just
the one time they didn't throw the caution.
I know.
Now, he was frustrated by that. But if you look at these two race cars, let's start with Matt, because I followed him very closely throughout the race. Very first couple runs of the race, he was not good, and he was losing positions. Obviously started on the outside pole because of points. But they got the car pretty decent for the long run, and so when he got those long runs, he was able to make up a ton of ground. At one point, he even passed Kyle Busch for 4th, I believe it was. So Kenseth looked good, and Carl's struggling off the lead lap, falling back, and everything was fine. But the flurry of cautions at the end changed this race, and you got to expect that at Martinsville especially. A flurry of cautions at the beginning when guys are trying to figure out what kind of car they have and not give up too much.
Then a bunch
of longer green runs in the middle, and then cautions at the end when guys are fighting hard to get what they can for the finish. And that really did Matt Kenseth in. He kept restarting on the outside, losing positions. Car wasn't good on the short run. And then, as he tells us here,
after I thought we were maybe going to be okay, and when I got under the 18 there, like I said, I really honestly don't know what happened. I thought I left him enough room, and so I don't know if I slid up into him or what happened, but somehow we hit off a 2, and it cut my tire, and then, of course, it ruined my day along with his, and whoever else got, unfortunately, collected in that mess.
So for Matt Kenseth, I think at 36 points back, what would you say? It feels done to me.
It feels, well, Matt Kenseth feels done. I mean, Matt Kenseth hanging with Carl Edwards while going into the last 3 races, that was going to be a pretty exciting battle because they're both so good on downforce tracks. But now I agree, Matt Kenseth is done, and I think Brad Keselowski might also be done. Not quite as done as Matt Kenseth. There's still a glimmer of hope for Brad Keselowski, but I think for all intents and purposes he's done. And it was a little disappointing because he fought back so miraculously yesterday. I mean, for a good part of that race, he was the lowest running chase driver. And then all of a sudden here he is with a legitimate top 10 car, and you thought, okay, he's going to get a top 10 finish. He's going to stay up there in the mix. And then on that last restart with, what, 2 or 3 laps to go, he gets spun out, and they don't throw the caution. And you just felt so bad for Brad Keselowski. That's not the way you wanted to see his championship hopes end after such an amazing season.
Yeah, 27 points out. It's hard without a couple of wrecks in there, maybe even 3 problems for Harvick, Stewart, and Edwards, the guys ahead of him. It's hard to see him getting back. But that race was emblematic of what the team has been able to do this year, which is good chemistry between Brad and crew chief Paul Wolfe, getting the car right, not giving away anything, and being there at the end. So this is a guy that's obviously turned the corner. It's great to see, and he'll be around for a while competing for championships.
You can look at it this way. He's 27 points back. That's an average of 9 points per race that he has to make up. Tony Stewart did make up 11 points on Carl Edwards at Martinsville, but it took a win, and it took a mediocre performance from Carl Edwards.
It took a track where Carl Edwards isn't that great to begin with.
And those aren't there.
So Carl missing the setup at Texas
is unlikely.
Is much, much less likely.
So I think Brad Keselowski is going to be hard-pressed to make up 27 points over 3 races. But still, hats off to the 2 team for an amazing season.
And the 17 team. I mean, I think they've had a great year, and they were in championship form. It's just the brakes didn't go their way this year. When you look at Chicagoland and you look at this race in particular, really didn't work out for Matt Kenseth. But I think he had championship speed, and you got to really take heart from that.
And I think you also have to acknowledge that Matt Kenseth has finally found a crew chief that he can run well with, and it's been a long time coming since the departure of Robbie Reiser.
Absolutely.
So that bodes well for the future of the 17 team. Now, if they can just find
get a sponsor,
they'll
it would be nice.
All right, thanks for watching Bassmasters. Buzz Cutler. I almost said I was Bassmasters. Did you see that? I said Bassmasters.
Don't do that.
I kind of tried to cover it up with this flourish, which didn't really work.
That's even worse.
Anyway,
sometimes the cure is worse than the disease.
Exactly. We're going to be here for a while, so check back. There'll be more videos for your viewing pleasure.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.